Jacob, I think this is a good time to jump into a demo. Would love to see some of the solutions that GRC Academy offers.
Sure. So the first resource I'm going to show you is the CMMC Control Explorer. I had actually updated this based on the document leaks that came out of rulemaking. So you'll see a set of security controls for CMMC Level 3 here as well.
Okay.
The basics of it is we have a searching capability, some filtering based on the domain or a control family, as 800.171 calls it, and then the CMMC level. The keyword search does comb through the requirement text as well as the discussion text. I know a lot of folks use this, and I myself have used it when I'm going through self-assessments because, to be honest, it's so much nicer and more readable than a spreadsheet, which I'm
Right.
using. If you have a fancy GRC tool, that's amazing, but a lot of folks don't have that and can't shell out the 10 to 30 to 40, 50K that requires.
Yeah.
This is just a resource for those types of folks. So if we filter to the CMMC level 2 controls, here they are. We can look at authorized access control 3.11. And I did my best to make this a really friendly, readable view. So you have the requirement language, here's the discussion, and then some metadata here, the level, and then the related 800.171 ID, as well as the related 853 IDs.
Okay.
And the DoD scoring methodology points from that will account for your SPRS scores also. And then
Wow.
we have further discussion. People have been asking NIST for implementation examples for quite a long time.
Right.
And NIST did provide that initially, but then they pulled away from that. And the reason why they did that was because they said, well, if we provide implementation examples, people might believe that's the only approved solution out there. And that's
Right.
what NIST does not want.
Yeah.
What DoD did is they did go and provide some examples. And I think that's appropriate for an agency to do that.
Right.
At the agency level, that's fine. I can understand NIST hesitation to do that from a federal standpoint, covering all kinds of different agencies and
Yeah.
organizations.
Exactly.
But DoD did provide this further discussion, a section with implementation examples, and I think that's really helpful for folks to kind of get the understanding of what the security control is kind of going for.
Hmm.
And then below here is the assessment guidance. You have the examination processes here, the methods, what they might look at to make sure that you have actually implemented this. So a number of documentation items, your access control policy, security plan, system design documentation. This does not mean all of these. This is just a list of some of the things that where you might have it.
Right.
And the auditor might be able to reference. The auditor also can interview these folks here and then to test. There's some options for the auditor right there. Then comes the determination statements or the assessment objectives. What I'll say here, going back to our previous conversation, is you'll have a one control to many assessment objective or determination statements. What this does is it breaks out the control text into individual testable items. So if we only had the requirement text, there are a number of requirements in this text that are separate. From a testing and auditing perspective, you have to break it out. So that's why if we go back down to these assessment objectives, or again, determination statements, you have multiple items. Authorized users are identified, processes acting on behalf of authorized users are identified, devices, including other systems, authorized to connect. So there's a lot of things that are in that requirement language that if you only look at the requirement language, when it comes down to auditing time, you are going to have problems. If any one of these fail, you fail the control.
Exactly.
So, like I said, really important to go through all of these, even as you're implementing the security controls. Make sure you've accounted for everything when you're documenting. And then I would recommend doing a full self-assessment prior to your CMMC certification assessment, just so you can make sure that all your I's are dotted, T's are crossed, that type of thing.
Right.
But this is a resource that folks can use. I do know it gets a good bit of traffic. People seem to like it. And if you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know. I'm always looking to make it better.
I think this is a fantastic resource, and it's a free resource, right?
Yes.
Wow. I can tell you put a lot of work into it, but people need to understand that when you're talking about compliance requirements, to make it simple, easy to digest and understand. And that's what this resource does. And that could save people so much time, effort, energy versus trying to go to the actual special publication and navigate through it and be so confused with all of the jargon. But yeah, you really put this in a beautiful format that's easy to navigate. Well, I really appreciate you offering this to the community.
Thank you. Yes, no problem. The other thing I'll point out is I do have security control explorers for 853, 171, of course, and then 172 also. And my plan is to add, once NIST CSF 2.0 comes out, I'll be adding a Explorer for those requirements as well. So we'll
that's awesome.
Yeah. So looking to expand the catalog of training and also resources that are available for free.
The website, so GRC
Academy.io.
Certainly take advantage of this website, you all. If you receive value from this episode, I invite you to subscribe and like so that you're the first to know when we release new episodes. Also check out cmmcproof.com to learn more about the arsenal of resources that we provide to equip you to conquer CMMC. We'll see you next time.